Malik Nabers suffers a season-ending injury. That is a huge blow to his dynasty value. We'll tell you how you should value him next.
You are Locked On Dynasty Football, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. I am your host, Marcus Mosher. He is Michael Fabiano. And on today's show, we're taking a look at the biggest winners and losers coming out of week 4 of the NFL season. But unfortunately, Fabs, we had a massive injury this week. Malik Nabers tore his ACL in a game against the Chargers. Kind of knew it right away. It was a pretty bad looking injury. And now for somebody who just a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about as maybe the number 1 overall asset. He was the wide receiver 3, third player overall in dynasty startup drafts. What does this do to his long-term value?
I don't know that it decimates it. I don't know that it damages it severely. He's 22. We know what he can do. We know that we've seen players come back from ACLs in the past, maybe not immediately, but come back and become the players that they once were. And Nabers is got the advantage of being a young man who will heal pretty quickly. So is he going to be ready for the start of next season? I mean, probably not, unless he has a ridiculous recovery and rehabilitation process. But
which we have seen. Like someone like Spawn he tore his, I think, was week 3, and he was ready for week 1. So it does happen.
I mean, like, yeah, right, exactly. So, I mean, but at this point, would I drop him behind, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Puka Nacua, maybe Nico Collins, Drake London, maybe even Emeka Egbuka? I think that's within the realm of possibility. But I'm not going to go out there and say, well, this is a death blow and, this is going to be the end of this kid's rise to elite starter status in fantasy. It's a roadblock, a temporary roadblock. It's a hurdle for him. I'm sure he'll clear it. And I still wouldn't drop him significantly, even though he's going to miss the rest of this season. And again, maybe the start of next season.
I wouldn't drop him too much, but again, you're going to go the entire 2025 season without him this year. And it always takes these players, a year and a half before they get back to full speed. Now, the thing that Nabers has to his advantage is his youth, right? He's incredibly young. So I do think you'll see him get back to being this, alpha number 1 receiver. But part of the reason why he was being drafted so highly is because of his youth and his age, or, the upside. And now you're just waiting another year. So I did want to go through all the names of some of the guys that you would take over him right now. Chase Jefferson ahead of him. I'm assuming that's still the case.
Yep.
Okay. CeeDee Lamb, who was wide receiver 4.
Yeah. Well, I mean, CeeDee's hurt too. Far less significant injury. Boy, that one's even tough for me too. I'd probably go with CeeDee, but that one's
well, let me
rough.
ask you, if you had Nabers right now, would you flip him for CeeDee, knowing that you're at least going to get CeeDee back for a majority of the season?
It depends on if my team is a competitive team or not.
So if you're somewhat competitive, you probably do that.
Right.
Okay. Brian Thomas Jr. We'll get to him. Save him.
We'll talk about him. I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, we'll get to Amon-Ra St. Brown. You mentioned Puka Nacua.
Yep.
So that already takes you down to like the wide receiver 8 range. And I like Nico Collins and Drake London a lot. That's where I would draw the line. I just would much rather have Malik Nabers. Like I'll wait it out here.
Is there a world where Emeka Egbuka pushes beyond Malik Nabers?
Well, let me just say this, since we're talking about winners and losers today. Emeka is probably the biggest winner for me. And we've been talking about this for a couple of weeks now. Like, I think he's already a top 12 receiver, and I'm pushing him up even higher. Like, how how much I love Drake London. Mm-hmm. If I had Drake London and I could flip him for Emeka Egbuka, I think I would do it in a heartbeat right now.
Listen, I loved him. And again, I don't watch college football, very much of it at all, but I loved what I saw on YouTube because that's where I do my research. And then when he ended up in Tampa Bay, I thought, well, maybe it's going to be a Jaxson Smith-Njigba sort of situation where he comes in, he's got to play behind 2 veterans, and then in year 2 he explodes. Well, Chris Godwin just came back yesterday, and he played almost a full complement of snaps, but he didn't do much statistically. Mike Evans is hurt with the hamstring injury, so like there's a chance Ibuka is going to be like that #1 fantasy receiver in Tampa Bay this year. So I'm a huge fan of him. And then when you factor in that Mike Evans is 32, and that Godwin, is he ever going to be the same player as he was before he had that nasty ankle injury? And remember, he's 29. At this point, I mean, there's an argument to be made, not that I would do it, that you could draft or rank Ibuka ahead of Malik Nabers moving forward. Again, not something that I would do, but if somebody did it, I would understand the reasons.
Oh man, I would be really tempted to do it because Ibuka is incredibly young and he's on an offense where we feel really good about it long term. But I want to talk about the Giants offense because Jaxson Dart did get his first start, 13 of 20 for 111 yards and a touchdown, was sacked 5 times. But the Giants did score 21 points. Now we should mention they also got some big takeaways in this game, 2 interceptions, including one guy, Sexy Dexy, Dexter Lawrence, who basically took it down to the 1-yard line. How are you feeling about the Giants offense coming out of this game with Jaxson Dart?
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking straight fantasy, I don't feel good about their receiving assets at all. Darius Slayton is a guy that in redrafts will be a popular pickup this week, but he can't replace Malik Nabers, and he's never been consistent. Wan'Dale Robinson might be a playable asset. Remember, the buys start this week. So, Wan'Dale Robinson, but long term, I don't know. Jaxson Dart had a very pedestrian stat line as a passer, but where he made his mark was as a runner. He rushed for over 50 yards and had a touchdown. And that's where Jaxson Dart's going to be valuable to you. And the passing stats will come. But I don't know that you're going to see big passing stats from Jaxson Dart this season, especially with Malik Nabers out. With that being said, as I mentioned, bye weeks coming up. They've got New Orleans next on the slate. So Jaxson Dart is certainly a player that I liked because of his running ability, because he's got a big arm. He showed that at Ole Miss. But you'd be crazy to think that the absence of Malik Nabers will not hurt his value as a passer for the rest of this season.
There's also a game coming up against our Cowboys who got a tie last night, Fabs. You got to be excited about that.
I gotta say, I wasn't. I was very upset. I wanted Jerry Jones to be embarrassed. He wasn't, although he said something stupid after the game. And I can't do his voice as well as our friend Elliot Harrison, but he basically said, well, they had Micah and we didn't, and we tied them. Oh, that's good, true. Jerry. I will say this. It's one game. I will say this. The Cowboys showed a lot of fight, which I liked, because they should have gotten killed last night. They should have gotten killed with the injuries that they had. No CD, offensive line issues. Green Bay's defense was supposed to be good. I guess it's not. I don't know. Maybe it just wasn't last night. But I'll give credit where credit is due. They fought hard last night, and Dak was way better than I thought he was.
We'll get to them real quick. I want to go back to the Giants before we move on. Jaxson Dart did have 10 carries for 10 carries for 54 yards and a touchdown, and that's what saved his fantasy day.
Yep.
I think from a long-term perspective, you're probably excited about the rushing upside. As a fan, I'm a little bit nervous the way that Brian Daboll was using him because he's not going to last. Like, he had to go to the medical tent multiple times in this game. That's my concern here with Jaxson Dart from a dynasty perspective is they can't use him this way week in and week out or he'll get killed.
Yeah, it was certainly not good to see him get pressured and sacked so many times. The offensive line's got big question marks. And then, we can always bring up that turf. That is the worst waste of money for a stadium, I think, in the history of maybe Western civilization. I have no idea. That stadium is a dumpster, and it's brand new for the most part. They need to do something about that field. And even Odell Beckham Jr. said something on social media after that, and he would know. But that you cannot have him taking that much punishment week in and week out, because as you mentioned, we will see Russell Wilson back under center for the Giants, and that's something
we saw it this week. He was back out there this week.
We simply don't want that long term.
No. All right, let's talk about some of the biggest winners from week 4. And I want to stay in that same Chargers-Giants game and talk about the other team. We will get to that next. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Every day we make decisions, but on Prize Picks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss the excitement of this football season with Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Playing Prize Picks is such a fun, simple way to add more excitement to football. You just have to pick more or less on player projections like Josh Allen's passing yards or Saquon Barkley rush for a touchdown, and you are in the game. I love how quick it is. You can make a lineup in under a minute. And my favorite part is that Prize Picks just added stacks. So if you want to ride with a player, I can select their passing yards, rushing yards, and touchdowns all in one lineup. It's also fun to follow other players in the app and copy their lineups with one click. So download the Prize Picks app today. Use promo code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. This episode is brought to you by Rugiet. What do you get when you have a bald eagle standing on top of a silverback gorilla riding a T-Rex? Confidence, pure confidence. And if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Go Long. Rugiet Go Long is not just another ED pill. It's a total game changer for confidence. It combines 2 doctor-trusted medications in one dual action formula, so you can get hard and go the distance. The effects can last up to 36 hours. That's confidence all day, all night, and even into the next day. So if you're ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom, head to Rugiet, RUGIET.com, and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for 15% off your first order. That is RUGIET.com, promo code LOCKEDONNFL, and make sure to use our code so they know that we sent you. Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. I want to talk about some of the biggest winners from week 4, and I want to stick with this Chargers game. I want to go with Omarion Hampton, 12 carries, 128 yards, and a touchdown. Also caught 5 passes for 37 yards. He was the only running back in this game to get a touch for the Chargers, and we kind of suspected this once the Najee Harris injury happened, like he was going to get a full workload, and you're seeing it happen.
That's the dude that we drafted the last 2 weeks. And it's unfortunate that Najee got hurt, and that's kind of the way that the door opened for him to see all these touches. But what did we love about Omarion Hampton, right? He's a power back. He's a good fit for Greg Roman's offense. And he showed it. I mean, there was a run that he made yesterday. I mean, he was just like a beast, it was Earl Campbell-esque, let's put it that way. And he's going to be a guy that you're going to be starting every single week moving forward, obviously. And that's what we all wanted. The first few weeks were kind of scary. Same kind of thing with Ashton Genty. First few weeks were a bit scary. Well, Genty put those fears aside, at least for 1 week. And Hampton's done it now 2 straight weeks.
He looked good. He's not the most agile guy. He's not like Bijan Robinson where he's going to make you miss in a hole. But you can see like the raw power and the explosiveness. Yep. And you get him, in the open field, and he has the defenders have a hard time getting him down. So he's right back to being one of the top 6 or 7 dynasty running backs. I want to also talk about Quentin Johnson in this game. Led the team in targets with 13, 8 catches for 98 yards and a touchdown. And Fabs, if you look at his last 9 regular season games, he's averaging about 76 receiving yards per game. He scored 6 touchdowns during that stretch. I don't want to say that he's officially arrived, but it certainly feels like that.
I mean, it's 4 weeks in. We're a quarter of the way just about through the fantasy season already. And Quentin Johnson is a must start. I can't believe I just said that, but it's true. Like AJ Brown, nope. I'm starting Johnston. A whole bunch of other wide receivers. Brian Thomas Jr., oh, we're going to talk about those guys. Quentin Johnson is now that dude for the LA Chargers. And I will say this, I predicted that Ladd McConkey was going to regress this year, and that I didn't love when they signed Keenan Allen. I did not expect this to happen. I did not expect Quentin Johnson, who was going late in drafts. And remember, he got banged up in the preseason too. I did not expect him to do this. Nobody did, really. And so if you were able to get him late, I mean, after 4 weeks, he is one of, if not the best bargains in fantasy. And, people were not high on him at all. And I don't know how you could be. He had the dropsies the first couple of years in the league, but now he has really gained the confidence of Justin Herbert. Maybe it was there all along, but the target share is just on the high end. The production is on the high end. And, Quentin Johnson is now a guy that there's no question is just in your lineup, and you keep him there until further notice.
Is there any thought of selling high here after 4 weeks? We should mention the Chargers tackle situation. Joe Alt, who was moved from right tackle to left tackle, he's got a high ankle sprain. The reports this morning are it's going to be a several week injury. To me, that sounds like a guy.
Perf, man.
Yeah, it's going to go on the injured reserve list. And we saw yesterday, like when Joe Alt's not in the lineup, like Justin Herbert is not the same quarterback. The number I saw this morning was he's been pressured on 50 of his last 92 dropbacks, and it's only going to get worse. So is there any thought at all at selling high?
Brother, you know me, I'm always open. If somebody wants to make me an offer, I will promise you this. I ain't taking dirt for Quentin Johnson.
Well, can we run through a couple names?
Yeah.
Okay. Jordan Addison, wide receiver 34.
No.
You'd rather have Johnson?
Nope. Much rather have Johnson, yes.
Chris Olave, wide receiver 32.
Rather have Johnson.
Jalen Waddle, wide receiver 29.
Rather have Johnson.
DJ Moore, wide receiver 26.
DJ Moore's disappeared in that Bears offense because Rome Odunze has become that dude. I'd rather have Quentin Johnson.
Let's keep going. Terry McLaurin, wide receiver 23.
He's 30. I'd rather have Quentin Johnson. He was on my bust list this season.
Jamison Williams, wide receiver 20.
Now, this is insane because I would have never thought I would say this 4 weeks ago. Right now, I don't know how you can't say you'd rather have Quentin Johnson because Jamison Williams has been very inconsistent.
One last one. T. Higgins, wide receiver 16.
I think I'm sticking with T. Higgins, but it's a conversation. And it wasn't a month ago.
You probably are a little bit more aggressive than I am with Quentin Johnson. However, we're going to see the Bengals play tonight. There's just there's going to be a time where you're just watching this Bengals offense feeling like, man, I know T. Higgins is the actual better NFL player, but am I sure he's the better fantasy player? Because I do think this is going to be a rough year for T. Higgins. We'll see.
Yep.
Who else do you have as winners from week 4?
The Woodman, Woody Marks. More snaps, more touches, more fantasy points than Nick Chubb. And I hope this is a trend. I think this is going to be what we see from the Texans backfield moving forward. He had a big game, had a couple of touchdowns, nearly 28 fantasy points. He finished with a 37% touch share. That was up from 16 in week 3. So Woody Marks, certainly a winner, and a guy that you may be starting upcoming this week. They're playing Baltimore. Baltimore's defense is bad.
I know. It sounds like a matchup
Very bad.
I want to play against Baltimore, but Baltimore's defense, I mean, anybody can run on them.
Isaiah Pacheco scored a touchdown for crying out loud against them. I mean, it was a receiving touchdown, but DK Metcalf, who you know that I love, and I didn't love him going into this weekend, man. Minnesota had given up the fewest points to perimeter receivers. But DK had a great game, 126 yards and a touchdown, almost 24 fantasy points. He's got a 21% target share. I'd like to see that be a little bit higher, but DK certainly makes people feel a little bit better. And then Kyle Pitts, listen, I will give credit where credit is due. Kyle Pitts, after 4 weeks, has an 18.5% target share. After 4 weeks last year, it was 13. And he's on pace to have a career high 198 fantasy points. I don't know if that's going to happen, but, Darnell Mooney's banged up. They have a bye this week, Atlanta, so obviously he's not going to be able to put up any points for you, but he's getting utilized more. He's running more routes. And, maybe, and I joked about it. I'm like, come on, a guy ain't going to break out after, 4 years in the league. 5th-year breakouts are rare. I mean, so far he's proved me wrong, and he's still a young guy. So hopefully this is the beginning of some good stuff for Kyle Pitts, but his value is definitely rising.
I just want to mention Javonte Williams really quickly. Not that he's a long-term dynasty asset, but I do think if you're searching for like a viable RB2 this year and you can get him cheap, I think Javonte Williams has won 20 carries for 85 yards and a touchdown. Miles Sanders had 2 carries in this game. Hunter Lee had 1. He got hurt, and the Cowboys don't trust Jaden Blue really at all. So it's going to be more of Javonte Williams.
Yeah, he's been great.
Yeah, also caught 3 passes for 15 yards.
Mhm.
He had a goal line touchdown sniped by Dak Prescott. He got plenty of work inside the red zone. Like, this doesn't feel like a fluke. Like, I think Javonte is going to get a ton of touches in what we think might be the NFL's best offense.
Yeah, for me, I think I underrated him because of, well, the lack of production since he had that knee injury a few years back in Denver, and the fact that I just am very soured on, the Dallas Cowboys and, well, Jerry Jones. And I didn't know that or think that Javonte would be better than what we saw with Rico Dowdle, and that's kind of what I was hoping for, and he's been much better. So
Yeah, much better.
that was a good move by the Cowboys, one of few so far, and he is now at worst, a high flex and more likely an RB2 the rest of this season until further notice.
Honestly, he might even be higher than that because he's scoring so many touchdowns and he's getting so many opportunities. It's crazy that we're here with Javonte. Let's talk about some players that we are concerned about coming out of week 4, including a name that you already mentioned, A.J. Brown, who is already posting tweets on social media, reading books on sideline. We'll go to all of that next. This episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5 Hour Energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce coffee plus B vitamins and nutrients with 0 sugar and 0 crashes. What I love the most about 5 Hour Energy is how portable they are. I have a couple in my truck. I put a couple in my golf bag, and I can take it with me wherever I go. There's a lot of times where I just need that little boost when I'm on like the 13th or 14th hole of my golf outing, and 5 Hour Energy can help me get through my day without any crash because it's 0 sugar. And I love how fast that it kicks in. Like, it's instant. You're going to be ready to go, to dominate your day and push forward. So enough with boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5 Hour Energy shots. Get the favorites that you love or be bold and try something new in store and online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon today. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer that you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love how FanDuel gives me so many ways to play. I've built parlays, tried player props, or you can even just follow the lines during the game. That's what I was doing last night watching the Sunday Night Football game because I wanted to see when would the Cowboys be favored in this game. And even in an overtime, when the Packers were down by 3, they were still favored to win that game. It makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little bit something on the line, riding on the action. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the free FanDuel app today and get started. Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. For your second listen, check out the Locked On NFL Podcast. 2 shows every single day, one in the morning with Tyler Rowland, one in the afternoon with Tony Wiggins, available wherever you get your podcasts. All right, let's talk about the Eagles, who got a 31-25 win over Tampa Bay. They did not complete a single pass in the second half of this game. Jalen Hurts was 0 of 8. A.J. Brown got plenty of targets, 9 targets, and converted 2 of them for 7 yards. Now, it was more just Jalen Hurts being pretty inefficient in this game, but through 4 games, 14 catches, 151 yards, 1 touchdown for A.J. Brown. Are we concerned?
Yeah. Yes. He's had 1 good game, and everything else has been awful. 2 catches on 9 targets. Now, that could be a combination of drops and maybe passes that were, inaccurate. But I mean, this is not good. And he's actually had a 46% target share after the first 4 weeks. His catch rate is 50%. He's on pace for 150 points. Compare that to the first 4 games he played last year, and it wasn't the first 4 weeks because he was injured. He averaged 20 points a game. His catch rate was 70%. Something ain't right. And he did tweet out, quote, "If you're not welcomed, not listened to, quietly withdraw." Don't make a scene. Shrug your shoulders and be on your way. That's not good. Like
Isn't that the opposite
not
of
just
I mean,
that. I
the
don't
fact that
like
he's
the
tweeting that out seems like it's not it doesn't matter. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
withdraw. That's not a word I want to hear from a player who I'm hoping will turn things around on my fantasy football team. So now things are not good, and the bye weeks are here, and so AJ Brown's probably going to be a lot of lineups. Hopefully, you have someone you can replace him with. But this is 3 out of 4 weeks, and they've got Denver coming up next. So it's not. I mean, he's probably going to see some Patrick Surtain. Not exactly a great matchup. Not what I was expecting, and not a lot of people were expecting. AJ Brown does not sound like a happy camper, even though his team won the Super Bowl last year, and even though they are undefeated, he's not getting the ball.
No, it's something's bubbling here. Now, here's what I anticipate happening. I think the Eagles are going to make a concerted effort over the next month to get him the football, to basically shut him up for a little bit, right? And maybe that's going to be detrimental to the team because they're obviously winning these games not featuring him. Although, having said that, he got 9 targets yesterday. Like, I think it would be a bigger deal if he got like 4 targets, but he did get 9 targets. The quarterback just isn't very accurate. And it doesn't matter because the Eagles have so much talent.
Yeah.
We'll see. I did want to mention another receiver, Brian Thomas Jr. Now, this wasn't an awful game for Brian Thomas. 5 for 49 on 7 targets. So if you play in a PPR league, 10 points, right? It just hasn't been what we saw last year. And honestly, I don't think it's a Trevor Lawrence thing because I think Brian Thomas is in his own head. There was a play in this game where Trevor Lawrence threw a beautiful corner route, like just beautiful. And every other receiver in the league gets 1, 2, 3, 4 feet down. And Brian Thomas was so lackadaisical, got 1 foot down, the other foot came out of bounds. Like his head is not in the game at all. I'm not super concerned from a long-term perspective, but it just seems like something's broken here.
Yeah, it tells you everything you need to know when Marcus says that he didn't have a bad game. It was 10 points. Like, because that's the best game he's had all year. And last year he was a guy who was averaging in the second half with Mac Jones, right around 18, 19 points per game. At least his catch rate was better. It was 71% in that game. It had been 28% going into that game. He's got about a 37% target share after 4 weeks. Is actually better than he had last year. After the first 4 games, it was 27%, but he's on pace for just 153 points. He scored 240 last year, or 280, excuse me, last year. He was on pace for 240 after 4 weeks. And then, of course, Mac Jones took over for Trevor Lawrence, who got injured. And Mac Jones, I'm not going to say made Brian Thomas Jr., but he liked throwing him the football. And Trevor Lawrence, again, I have said it before and I'll say it again. I'm just not a fan. This is enough already with him potentially being some sort of elite type quarterback. They're winning games, so that's a good thing. They've got Kansas City coming up next. That's going to be a tough matchup. I believe that might be the Monday night game. But
yes, good Monday night game, actually. That's kind of fun.
There's 2, I think, again. Next week, there's 2 Monday night games again. Enough with this nonsense with the 2 Monday night games. But I'm worried about Brian Thomas Jr. Because this is we're 4 weeks into the season. Like, you're a quarter way through basically your fantasy football season.
Well, you and I were saying even in the offseason, Brian Thomas Jr. being drafted at wide receiver 5 was very aggressive, especially when you spent the number 2 overall pick on Travis Hunter, who, again, did not do a ton as a receiver in this game. 3 catches for 42 yards. He did make 1 unbelievable grab across the middle of the field, and I think he's going to get more work. But we should mention Travis Etienne looked awesome in this game. 19 for 124 touchdown.
Way better than I thought.
He's honestly been one of the bigger surprises of the year. Like, he looks fully healthy. And if he's going to play at this level, I think Jacksonville is going to win a bunch of games. Like, this was a good win for them.
Yeah, they do play on Monday night, and corrected myself. There is not 2 games next week. There's only 1 on Monday night.
We have to have Chiefs State alone. It's just
you're right, exactly. I was thinking of tonight. Sorry, I'm on some cold medication because I've been sick for 4 days, so the brain's not working real good. But I would. You got to play him. I'll tell you one thing. I ain't playing Travis Hunter anymore. I'm not playing Travis Hunter. This 4 weeks.
Not right now. Not right now. I wouldn't.
Can't do it right now. I can't do it. Yeah.
I won't do it. Isn't that what Mike Singletary said about Vernon Davis?
Can't do it. Won't do it. Can't win with him.
There you go. Any other losers from week 4 you want to mention before we head out?
Yeah, I mentioned Jameson Williams. And we had talked about him last week. He actually led the Lions in targets in that game yesterday. He had 8 targets, but he only caught 2 balls. 17% target share, 50% catch rate after 4 weeks. He's averaging 9 points per game. Last year, 21% target share, 14 points per game at the same time. It's not good. And Jameson is like, he's that frustrating player who, like, you don't want to take out of your lineup because you know that the second you take him out of your lineup, he's going to go for 425 and a touchdown, and you're going to want to freaking, pull your hair out. But he's really difficult to trust. And so, like, if I could flip him for like a Quentin Johnson, I'm doing it, man. I don't see this being any different. This is what it's, as long as Amon-Ra St. Brown is around Detroit, and I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon. Nope. Jameson Williams is going to be a very inconsistent type of player. I'd rather get a guy like Quentin Johnson, who age-wise, he's not an older wide receiver, but his arrow's pointing up. Jameson's arrow's pointing down.
All right, that is it for today's show. We want to thank you for making Locked On Dynasty Football your first listen every single day. Check out the channel on YouTube. Download the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We are free and available on all platforms. Follow Fabs on Twitter at Michael_Fabiano. I'm at Marcus_Mosher, and we will see you right back here tomorrow.